Alright, today one of my favorites, Brodo di Manzo with tortellini and greens. This is simply a really rich beef broth, or brodo, that I finished with some cheese tortellini and some kale at the end. It is the perfect winter soup. Here we go. We're going to brown a beef shank. And that's about a 2.5 inch thick slice of beef shank. Very inexpensive, very easy to find at the butcher. Alright, so give that a good browning on medium-high heat and some olive oil. Maybe 5-6 minutes on each side. Alright, take it out of the pot. Alright, turn your heat to medium and add 1 chopped onion. Now, something that's going to simmer for 4 hours, you don't have to get too crazy about the perfect size dice of onion. Alright, so just chop it up. I put in another tablespoon of olive oil just so I had a little more oil to saute this. And I'm going to cook this for about, 6-7 minutes. I want to get it a little bit of browning going on there. Again, don't be afraid if the bottom of the pot starts to get nice and dark brown. That's only going to help the brodo. Okay, it's going to make it even richer and deeper colored. Alright, I put a little pinch of salt. Alright, so there we go. So 6-7 minutes later, I'm going to add 2-3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Alright, this is again going to add a little bit of acidity to the stock. I'm going to caramelize that tomato paste onto the bottom of the kettle. Again, just for a couple minutes. I don't want it to burn, but dark brown's good. So I cook that for a few minutes. I'm going to add, before I add my stock here, 3 or 4 cloves of chopped garlic. Give that a stir. And now we're ready to get this thing ready for our 4 hours of simmering. Alright, and again, don't burn the garlic. That will cause an off flavor. So we're just going to stir that around a little bit and add a quart of high quality, hopefully organic beef broth, and 1 quart of plain water. Okay. Now don't add any additional seasoning or salt here. We are going to put in a few herbs, but don't add any salt at this point. Just put your beef shank back in there. You see me swirling it around. I'm kind of rubbing the bottom of the pot, deglaze anything that's stuck to the bottom. Now as far as herb, I'm just going to go with a teaspoon of dry Italian herb. That's your classic basil, marjoram, thyme, rosemary, anything you like. And a little pinch of red pepper flakes. I like to give this just a little bit of heat. And see the bubbles over on the top of the screen there? As soon as it starts to come to a very gentle simmer, you're going to put the lid on, and you are going to cook this for 4 hours. Alright? It takes a long time for that beef shank to break down. So this is not a dish if you're in a hurry, right? But it's totally worth it. So you're going to leave that for 4 hours simmering on low. Then you're going to check it. Now how do you know it's done? Very simple. All the meat basically fell off that bone. Okay? So once that meat just totally disintegrates and collapses off that bone, and hey, if you got to cook it a little longer, go ahead. But then you know you're ready for the rest of the stuff. Now at this stage, before we start adding the greens and the tortellini, I want to kind of defat the top here. I don't even know if that's a word, but I just used it. So you're going to take a ladle, and if you turn it up to like a medium simmer, the bubbles will force the fat into little pools, and you can just simply skim that off. And if you're careful and take your time, in about 5 minutes, that fat's gone. Now, I'm adding 3 or 4 big handfuls of chopped kale. Any green's going to work here. All right, you can read about that on the site. Colored greens, mustard, Swiss chard, whatever you like. Now, kale only takes about 10-15 minutes to get tender. Depending on the green you're using, you might have to adjust that time. Alright, at this point I also tasted the stock for salt and pepper, because before I add my tortellini I want to make sure the stock has enough salt. And I'm using 1 8-ounce package of this Barilla 3 cheese tortellini. These are dry tortellini. Again, if you use fresh tortellini, it's not going to take as long to cook. These and the package say they take between 10 and 12 minutes. Just from my experience, I'm going to set my timer for 11 minutes. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually turn this up to medium high, and I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to set my timer for 11 minutes. And then I'm going to be just about ready to eat. Alright, so let me give you the timer visualization. There you go, 11 minutes. And start countdown. Perfect. Alright, 11 minutes later. Oh man, that looks good. Alright, you can turn that off. You can taste it one last time for seasoning. If you want to add a little more hot pepper, you'll see me add a few flakes later. This is just so rich and delicious. It's hard to believe those few ingredients produce something this fabulous, but it really is true. It is slow food, as they call it. You got to invest a few hours making that broth, but it finishes pretty quick at the end. Find yourself a nice big soup bowl, slice off a hunk of Italian bread. This is optional. I'm going to go with a little Reggiano Parmesan on top, another little pinch of pepper flake to kick it up a notch, as my friend Emerald says, and there we go. So that, to me, is a wonderful, wonderful winter soup. Very, very healthy. All right, that is a very lean stock, yet incredibly flavorful. Cheese tortellini, okay, fine. That's not maybe the most low-cal thing, but any pasta will work in this. Any green will work. And again, this is going to chase those winter blues away. Just comfort in a bowl. I hope you give that a try and enjoy.